what was it, though, that enabled people to give birth and all of the midwives to be the kind of people that this process could happen around? Because there are people who are so tense that a baby can't be born around them. Did you know that? There are people, if they walk in the room, every woman in labor will just stop. Why? Because they just don't feel right. And they, you know, there are some people that just have don't feel right so strong that almost any woman couldn't labor around them. I took a woman up once to a Nashville hospital, and the doctor, who was very opposed to home birth, essentially raped her with his fingers doing a vaginal exam, and took her from 7, which I checked her at on the way up, to back to 4, just because he was so rough with her. I mean, rape and pleasant lovemaking, there's no difference in the size of the organ that's being used here. You know, so it's not anything to do with size, it's got to do with speed and ferocity and things like that. So a gentle pelvic exam will not stop a labor, it might even encourage it. And then on the other hand, a very hard and nasty one where somebody's trying to, you know, say it's a woman attendant and she's trying to prove she's not gay. That would be sufficient, okay? So you want gentleness. So I thought, well, how do we explain this? And I thought, aha, okay, sphincter. We know we got the anal sphincter, we got the sphincter at the bladder. Why don't we call the cervix a sphincter? It acts the same. Because what is a sphincter? Sphincter is the opening to an organ that has capable of contracting, and it can fill up with whatever, and then it contracts, and then that sphincter, which holds itself closed without getting tired, right, because it's part of the involuntary muscle system, and then it can open and just obliterate itself temporarily while whatever's in the organ comes out, and then it closes up very nicely and is back to normal, okay? So why don't we call the cervix a sphincter? I don't know why we don't, but it's circular muscle, and you can't order it around any more than you can order a bladder or order, you know, somebody's rectum, you know, say, okay, we want you to poop at exactly 9 o'clock. And if you don't, you're going to get into really big trouble. Is that going to help? I don't think so. Now, Freud complained about that. He thought the children were being ornery if they didn't poop at precisely the, you know, the right hour. But I'll bet you if he took care of those children every day, they would have taught him something. And he would have had to loosen up if he took care of his own kids' stuff. Because what kids normally do is, anybody who's had them, I mean, you can check me on this, but if you've got a 2-year-old and they get quiet and they're looking in the corner and they got their back to you, that's the time, okay? That's when you need to be getting them and sitting them on the pot, and then make it a good experience for them, because if they don't have fun there, then that sphincter is going to get more shy than it already is. Sphincters are shy. That's the important part. And they don't obey orders. And if the owner is startled or humiliated, they can slam shut just like that. Now, I have my husband to thank for telling me some stuff that I wouldn't have known without him, so we'll go on that part now. He says that if you have a bunch of men in a public bathroom, you know, all lined up at a urinal so everybody can see each other's business, okay, and everybody's peeing, and then something comes in that startles them, they all stop involuntarily, and nobody can pee when everybody's startled. Now, isn't that interesting? Slam shut. And nobody's ever said that that's wrong, or that I could. And Dr. Wim said the same thing. He was the family doctor that I told you about that took the premature baby off. He said he was in Washington, D.C. once at a public bathroom near the Congress, and everybody was peeing, and then in come a whole bunch of Secret Service, a whole phalanx of them, and in the middle of them, Henry Kissinger. Everybody's finished. So, okay, so now we're just talking about drops of pee here, and then now think baby head. You know, if you got an 8 9-pound, 10-pound baby. We shouldn't be surprised that people could go backwards. This is nature's way of protecting because the mother has all of her sensory equipment is quite heightened at the time of birth. She smells, her sense of smelling is more acute, her hearing, her eyesight, all of these are more acute than usual. And that's so that she may know where is a safe environment for her to give birth, because she's going to be temporarily unable to fight or flee while that baby's coming out. And so that's why even she gets progressed to the point where the baby's even visible, and then danger presents itself, and most of the time that, there have been, mammals have been times where certainly we didn't have weapons or walls or things like that protecting us from predators. So of course we're the same. And so we can't tell our brains that the hospital is the safe place. It may be that your inner animal doesn't perceive it that way. And so maybe it all smells wrong, or you hear somebody crying in the next room or something, and that can be enough to reverse your labor. And it can even happen with just driving to the hospital, or it can come with the first IV that's installed in your arm or whatever. Because some people can sustain that and stay in labor doesn't mean that everybody can. So that's what I mean by sphincter law. So basically, if you can't poop around and have a whole group of people watching you, it might be a little difficult to have a baby in that same kind of atmosphere. So we overcome that in hospitals with epidurals and oxytocin drips, don't we? But that doesn't mean that your body sort of loosens up and gets ready to be as accepting and as it could be in a more safe feeling to you situation. And that could be your own bedroom.